She was the daughter of two rubber tappers and grew up with 11 siblings in the rural state of Acre in Brazil. At 16 years old, a bout with hepatitis sent her to the state capital for treatment. She was an illiterate teenager, but she dreamt of going to school. So she enrolled in classes and learned how to read, all this as she worked as a housekeeper. During this time, she befriended one of Brazil's best-known environmentalists, Chico Mendes, whose ideas inspired her to join the Workers' Party. Her name is Marina Silva, and for many Brazilians, it is synonymous with activist politics. Minister, thank you for joining us. Chico Mendes once said, "At first, I thought I was fighting to save rubber trees. Then I thought I was fighting to save the Amazon rainforest. And then I realized I am fighting for humanity." Tell me about the fight that you were fighting.
Eu gosto muito de uma frase do Erich Fromm.
I like something Eric Fromm wrote, that the love for a person without deep love for humanity can be anything except love. On the day Chico Mendes died, I added to that idea that the love of humanity without a profound respect for nature is also not love. I think the fight, not just mine, but ours, is using our planet's resources wisely to meet our needs without compromising the needs of those who will come after us, which means we have to change how we produce and consume. My fight is changing the development model from unsustainable to sustainable in all its dimensions: economic, social, environmental, cultural, political, and ethical.
Política e ética.
Minister, you have accomplished so much in your life. It's really quite fascinating. You learned to read as a teenager and later rose to be a union leader. Then you became the youngest person elected to the Brazilian Senate. In some ways, your story is similar to former President Lula's. In 2010, you disrupted the Brazilian presidential elections when you won almost 20 million votes.
Para mim tem significado muito profundo.
For me, it has a very deep meaning. It means that for Brazilians, the idea of defending a new development model that produces wealth, employment, decent housing, goods, and essential services is not incompatible with environmental protection. And that's the idea I campaigned on in 2010. The 20 million votes I received, even as someone clearly identified with environmental protection, shows that this idea has arrived in the hearts of Brazilians. It's the challenge of the century, and one Brazil can help overcome, shifting the old paradigm that separates the economy from ecology and integrate them.
O mundo vai precisar cada vez mais de fazer essa integração.
In the last year, Brazil has been experiencing a bit of turmoil, though. People are taking to the streets. They're protesting World Cup spending, but at the same time, they're protesting against a lack of social programs like health and education. So do you think that hosting the World Cup comes at an inconvenient time?
Os grandes eventos, eles podem ser...
Large events can become a great opportunity for host countries. The problem occurs when we don't think about the legacy they'll leave. The Brazilian population, which is very passionate about soccer, has sent a strong message. It's a priority to invest to host the World Cup. But it should also be a priority to ensure health, education, public safety, transportation, and a dignified life for people. For me, it has shown cognizance, and it has allowed Brazilians to compare what's being prioritized over much greater needs.
Negligenciadas em necessidades que são muito mais profundas por parte do povo brasileiro.
Corruption has also been a hot topic in Brazilian politics. Why do you think the current Congress has been unable to control it?
Há trabalho que pode ser feito pelas instituições como
There are things institutions like the executive branch itself can do, creating controls to prevent corruption, being transparent, and inhibiting deviations. Congress can be an important tool for surveillance and monitoring. But there's something deeper that needs to occur. Corruption can't be seen as a problem of government, of Congress, or of the judiciary. Corruption has to be seen as everyone's problem, or it will continue to exist. Inflation used to be a problem of government. When it became society's problem, we created economic equilibrium. Poverty was a problem of governments and poor people who suffered serious social exclusion. When extreme poverty became a whole society's problem, we began creating ways for the poor to be socially included. It's the same for corruption or the environment. Until it becomes everyone's problem, there won't be a solution.
Não haverá solução.
Your name will be on the ticket this year as the vice presidential candidate for the Brazilian Socialist Party. What made you decide to switch parties, and what will your platform represent?
Essa discussão ainda está sendo feita.
That discussion is still taking place, but I moved in the direction of the Brazilian Socialist Party, of Governor Eduardo Campos, when government actions prevented us from registering the sustainability party that I'm helping create in Brazil, to contribute to the political process given our current political party's stagnation. And since we were unable to register our party, we took our proposals to someone committed to environmental protection and ethical politics, and who has a clear technology, innovation, and education investment agenda, which is what we also fight for. We've come a long way, but I can tell you I moved towards the Brazilian Socialist Party because the needs, ideas, and proposals they advocated for in 2010 remain relevant in the 2014 elections.
Continuem relevantes nas eleições de 2014.
Minister Marina Silva, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Obrigada.
Brazil's presidential elections will take place in October, and current President Dilma Rousseff is still ahead in the polls with a likely 38% of the vote. But in Brazil, more than half of total votes are necessary to win the office, meaning if the elections were today, there would be a runoff. Marina Silva, alongside presidential candidate Eduardo Campos, will be one of President Rousseff's challengers. And even though their party only has 10% of the votes at this time, experts are watching carefully as they know she's disrupted elections before.